Iko Nini. So vile unacheki jo, kuna vile nisharudi hizi area zetu and kabla nibonge juu ya the trending story, wacha ni confirm yes, hiyo flight nikikuja hivi bado ilikuwa na wifi, so mpaka nashindwa jo, nyuase ufanyaga kazi Qatar, kwani hamjai tuambiaga hizi secrets jo? Mnataka tuende na hizi ndege hazina internet, unakaa huko juu, nashindwa jo ni aje. So since kulikuwa na internet kwa hiyo ndege, nilienda of course nikifanya speed test kama kawa. Alafu apart from that pia vile nilikuwa nimepromise wasee ningewatch ile documentary ya BBC. I ended up watching that and from your documentary I guess that's why tulikuwa na headlines kama hizi. Kulikuwa na The People Daily, so gazeti yao ya Tuesday inasema how Ruto machinery uad brave Gen Z. Alafu kuna The Standard pia imeandikwa wauaji in uniform na cheki. So hizo ndio zilikuwa ama ndio headlines za leo, and the reason behind that is ukiwatch hiyo documentary, like they took so much time and try to identify at least wase watatu wale walikuwa involved kwa hizi like hizo deaths, because wali focus on deaths tatu, na moja say inasemekana aliangusha wase wawili, then kuna msee moja hapo yeye mwenyewe alikuwa anapatia na instructions. Alafu apart from that kuna nani tena, kuna msee mwingine ule ni msee wa KDF ule alienda pa amepiga msee risasi, so kulikuwa na hiyo. But one of the things that imestand out juu ya hii story ni like the sort of backlash that it's created, ile design ya the headlines making headlines, unajua. So the headlines making headlines ni the fact that BBC documentary ilienda ikibongwa juu yake na watu wengi. Hata niko na cheki kuna vile kulikuwa kunafaa kuwa na a public screening of the BBC documentary, and of course the public screening won't happen because apparently kulikuwa na pressure from authorities that shouldn't happen. Alafu BBC wakabaki wame back down. If you had to ask me, do I feel like BBC needed to do a public screening? No. I feel like public screenings are also a thing of the past. Like right now, kuna vile anyone who needs the information can actually get it. And yeah, like internet penetration ya Kenya kuna vile imefika mbali. Alafu watu wengi wale hii kitu ina target ile inaenda kuwa touch kwa hearts zao ni wasi get information from the internet, and that's the reason why in a very short time hii documentary imepata like views kibao sana. Like I think by the time nilikuwa naiwatch ilikuwa ishakuwa live for less than 14 hours, and if I'm not wrong ilikuwa inaenda close to like 1 million views. Yeah, ilikuwa inaenda close to 1 million views, like ilikuwa some ridiculous numbers. And inakuonyesha vile like Wakenya walikuwa wanataka kujua more information about what happened on the 25th of June last year. But apart from that, yes, wacha nicheki jo, ilikuwa more than 1 million. Like hii by the time na check hapa saa hizi nasema 1 day ago, na ikiwa 1 day ago kuna like 2.161 million views. Alafu tukiangalia comments kuna 17,000 comments. Alafu ukiangalia likes kuna 119,000 likes. That's how much watu wanaochi documentary inaitwa ni Blood Parliament. Yes. So tuki go back to his story, like one of the things that stand out pia after hii documentary yanguke ni ime expose the underbelly of Kenyan politics and Kenyan politicians, and of course there's nothing surprising, but wacha tufocus on tuanze na the first guy. So kuna ufala moja anaitwa Kaluma. So ufala alikuwa amesema kitu kama Blood Parliament documentary by BBC is twisted, partial, reckless and intended to incite chaos in Kenya. Then akaendelea, the relevant agencies of the government of Kenya must act to withdraw BBC license in Kenya. First of all, BBC haiwezi jali kama ina operate Kenya mazi. BBC is a public funded like taxpayer funded company in Britain. Najua by BBC having a presence in Kenya, Kenya benefits more because we create jobs, blah blah blah. But BBC waga so public funded that watu kama sisi wale saa zingine tunajipataga tumetumia VPN. Ukiingiaga kwa BBC ukitumia VPN, the first thing inakuulizaga ni do you have a license? nacheki. And the reason nakuuliza hivyo ni like back in the days hapa Kenya, for you to be able to watch something like KBC, you need a license. And so kitambo wasa walikuwa na buy TV, alafu kibuy TV una get license ya kuwatch KBC. So this used to happen like ukienda place kama Luthuli ilikuwa gonna buy, alafu nachukua license ya nini. It's something that we stopped, and it's one of those things that personally ningerudishwa, ngekatika na mimi, yani ati ningerudishwa, mngenipatia kiti ningekatika na mimi, because I try to kurudisha KBC back to its glory days. I'd make sure every single coin is accounted for, but still everyone who buys a TV inabidi anatoa at least so moja ile na go towards KBC. That's how you keep KBC great again. But your story ya KBC ni story for another day. So now back to the documentary. So documentary ishatokea, achikifala kama huyu Kaluma anasema that we are supposed to ban it, and to me this goes back to ODM and what ODM stand for. Like I'd want to know, like, what does this party stand for? Najua, like, you can't be in a situation whereby just cause mumepata a little power ama mmejipata ndani ya power kidogo, now you decide that anything that you ever stood for, you're just going to throw it through the window. Like, this makes no sense. So tukiconcentrate na Kaluma, so Kaluma says that according to him tunafaa kuban BBC. But now let me take you back to last year. So nataka kutake back to last year. On the 21st of June last year, Kaluma aliandika, I've presented amendments to the finance bill 2024 to remove tax on sanitary towels, diapers and eggs. Please talk with Kenya Kwanza MPs to see sense and support. It's a basic need for children. Address periods of shame and poverty and secure dignity of our women. So this was him, the 21st of January last year. Then tumwangalie on the 24th of January, this was before the big protest ile sasa BBC wamefanya documentary about ile siku ya Occupy Parliament. Aliandika, any child of mine who will not go to the protest with other children of Kenya this Tuesday to protest over taxation and corruption in government will face DNA test. The children of Kenya must work together to succeed where we failed. Sikio. So this was last year. And then fast forward to this year when he's saying that we need to ban BBC. But now kuna msalitengeza a very interesting meme inaitwa Kasongo Defense Forces. And the biggest soldier in Kasongo Defense Forces, wacha nikuambie vitu alikuwa anaandika last year. So last year on the 23rd, one of the generals wa Kasongo Defense Forces, and this is Robert Alai, aliandika, Gen X and millennials should join the struggle. Even the rich baby boomers should join their grandchildren in demanding for better. Then akaandika #reject finance bill 2024. Another thing akaandika, someone has hired some fools to demonstrate in town and castigate Gen Z. Kind of stupid. Ati, allow your parents to work in peace. Even the demonstrators don't want to show their faces. #reject finance bill 2024. So this was Robert Alai last year. This year, zile vitu Alai anaandika utashindwa, goes back to what I'm saying, like, what does ODM stand for? Because this is beyond pathetic. Ajua imefika level ingine ile na, I understand you're supporting a government. I understand that you feel like all of a sudden you're winning. So msa aliandika hivi, this is now on the 28th of April 2025. Aliandika, so if you breach parliament, you should be met with flowers and your favorite drink. Mnacheza. You don't get into criminal acts and think it will be without costs. Security officers are there to protect life and property, even with lethal force. Let's stop ujinga. So vile amesema hivi utakuwa unashindwa, Mof, umetoka from 2024 ukienda to 2025. There's nothing wrong with what Alai has said, but now nataka to go back to 2024 alafu tucheki, like, one of the most viewed videos ikikam to story na protest ilikuwa video fulani ile Alai alifanya, na Alai alikuwa kwa gari akifanya hii video, and I want us to check a part of it. You'd have to go and watch the whole video, but let's just listen to a part of it.
I understand that every Kenyan is very worried and ask why these young people can be as angry as they are with the government. You know, considering just Ruto has been in power for just over 1.5 years. And a lot of things, these things can be blamed on even previous regimes. Even the way Ruto argues that even the debt obligations was from the previous regimes and not his regime. But I would like to remind President Ruto that he's treading a very dangerous path when his key advisors are arrogant, are showing off. People drive around in expensive Range Rover autobiographies. You know, people are insulting you if you engage them online or offline. You saw it didn't only happen with Murkomen engaging that young job seeker, but David Ndii does it every single day. When you are a state employee, there are things you don't do. Even however annoyed you are with what people are telling you, you know, people deserve to annoy you. There's a time
Macheki. So hapa unasikia vile nasema people deserve to annoy you, and you can see that he's on the side of the Gen Zs. Anasema the Gen Zs wamefikishwa hapa because of the arrogance of the state officials. He talks about akina Murkomen and their expensive lifestyle, and he ended up like breaking this down kabisa. Ile alikuwa nabonga juu ya vile unachiki like unakumbuka Murkomen and the famous job seeker ule aliendaga kumwomba job, kwambia leo tupatiani kazi. Nakumbuka hii ilikuwa before vitu zikaget super ugly for the government. So yes, tuendelee kidogo.
To annoy you. There's a time, you know, we are being taken to court for causing personal annoyance, and it was a law actually which was put in the in our statutes to ensure that we don't engage these government officials. And we went to the Constitutional Court and it was thrown out and it was declared unconstitutional. But I would like to remind the President that when your officers are telling us that, you know, this thing was brought about by, you know, you fought for it, or you wanted it, or you know, you employed me, so you need not to ask me how I'm making my money. I'm rich enough, I can wear a watch of 10 million shillings, 50 million shillings, 20 million shillings. I can wear a shirt of 600,000, you know, 1 million shillings, and you should not ask me. I can wear shoes worth even so much. When people are going to churches, people like Oscar Sudi are going to churches and donating 15 million shillings, while they have done nothing for the young men and women. What do you think these young men and women are going to
do? Hiyo ndio swali alikuwa nauliza. So unaweza cheki, huu ni Alai. Sahizi Alai is like one of the people who are really defending this government, and this is place na havigi shida na ODM, and apart from ODM peke yake, this is where the legacy of Raila Odinga ita end up. The legacy is going to end up that there was the principle. Najuaga, I always have a problem with this principle. Lile blah 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 is always right. So kuna kuwaga na hiyo baba is always right. Na kuna time hata vile tulikuwa na Kibe hapa last week nikamwambia story ya Kibe is always right. No one is always right. Everyone makes mistakes. So when I look at these people who just last year were saying protest ni vitu kali, tuna need to join protest, nani Ruto hakuna kitu anaweza fanya, and then now all of a sudden Ruto can do no wrong. So this is the guy, like saizi ukienda uone the person who posted this plus the person right now since yuko kwa serikali, inafanya unashindwa like what would have happened under a Raila presidency. Because don't forget, there are people who always look at it and will be like, okay, say helped to fight for the second liberation. He'd not tolerate some of these things, abductions and what. But now when you look at the level of psychophancy in that party, it means they still would not we still wouldn't have a legislature. We'd still just have an executive that has swallowed the legislature, and that's not what we are looking for. We are looking for these checks and balances where this happens, this other happens. And right now nikiangalia party like ODM, naweza sema the only ODM members who survived, nasema ni Sifuna and maybe Orengo, like the rest represent KANU, like ni KANU damu. Cha tuendelee na umse kabla join KANU.
To do. When you try to engage government officials, offline or online, and they insult you, they tell you that, hapa sio sehemu ya kuuliza kazi. Oh, what are they supposed to think? You have all the resources. When we ask you from Nairobi County why State House is up to now, State House has all the revenue for Nairobi. They are consuming. Unaambia kwamba hiyo ni pesa ya president. And then they send to Nairobi County 30 million shillings a day, 20 million shillings a day. In Nairobi County unaweza kutoa 20 million shillings. As an instance, we even watch at Kajiado County collects more money than Nairobi County. Then they tell you that unajua hii pesa inakulwa na president. These are the things which are making Kenyans angry. These are, the laws you're trying to make, the changes you're trying to bring, the taxes you're increasing are just worsening them off. But what is really happening is that you have done nothing to the youth fund. You have done nothing to the Uwezo fund. You brought something called Hustler fund, which nobody understands, and you wanted nobody to understand because ulisema kwamba kwa board hiyo wewe ndio inahitajika peke yako, Mr. President.
Nacheki, umsana address the president. Amebonga juu ya kina Hustler Fund, amebonga juu ya kitu moja ile amesema resources za county government za Nairobi ziko zinapelekwa State House. This is the same guy right now telling us that Ruto can do no wrong. Same things comes to akina Kaluma telling us that Ruto can do no wrong. And you wonder, like, what level of, this is not even psychophancy, like what level of unpatriotism is here that it reaches a level where we just throw out everything that we believe in and decide we're just going to follow someone blindly. Alafu wasa wa ODM na watu kama wana justify through yes, this thing voting along tribal lines has been pushed by Central, so right now we are punishing Central. How can you punish Central Province if you are punishing yourself in the process? Because you're punishing yourself. You can't have a bad president and be like, you're happy with the bad president because the bad president is making one region more angry than it's ni upumbavu kabisa. So I think tusikize the last part ya umse bado.
How do you think these people are, you cannot rule a country just because you're given the instruments of power, then you can do anything you want. Be very careful how you run a country. Otherwise, you're going to crash this country because you're going to leave this country so disunited that I don't think that anybody is going to ever unite this country again. The direction you're taking this country is dangerous for even the wealth you have stolen. Even the wealth you have stolen, you will not be able to consume them peacefully if this is how you're going to carry out yourself. So I'm telling you, Mr. President, that pay close attention to what. Don't stop snatching people off the streets. Stop looking for young boys, men and women, and snatching them and going to take them into interrogation centers and ask them who is sponsoring them. I don't think that is something which even you can see for yourself that this is very organic. And the way it is organic, it means that you need to pay close attention to how your people carry themselves out. Even however rich you are, you don't need a Range Rover autobiography when you're a government officials. Don't ever do that. There are people, you're leading some people who cannot even have a meal a day. You're leading some people, I'm an elected politician in Nairobi. So I understand that people who go hungry, they cannot even afford a meal. At a 50 bobawana ya siku. These people don't.
Check it. So, this is Mselko and advice Ruto, and then of course later now we have this version of psychophancy, and this is basically now what ODM imekuwa reduced to. Unajua sekaki na Opio Wandai, if you go back to last year utapatiki place fulani Opio Wandai akiwa zile za we are going to join the Gen Zs, yes we are going to join this financial bill if it's passed nini. Kuna mse kama Mbadi akiwa kwa some place akiambia watu like Ruto amedidisha watu wengi sana, so hawezi join Ruto. Akujoin Ruto ni whatever, and then they come to this level. But akina Mbadi naelewa Kaluma naelewa, siwezi elewa ni this ally. This is someone who after kupigana na Uhuru sasa all of a sudden umepigana na Ruto kidogo, alafu sasa all of a sudden Ruto can do no wrong. Na kuna place fulani alinibamba, I don't know why sikui bookmark your place, but umsa alikuwa anabonga juu ya the fact that Ruto has surrounded himself with a lot of incompetent people, and it's something that we all say. Na anasema that if you just got a few competent people here and there, because that's what pisses me off with this country. Like unaonaga just the level of incompetence that's around, where we elevate people we are not supposed to elevate. So right now mse kama Farouk Kibet is going around giving speeches. As who? Just because you're the president's friend. Why are you giving us any speech? Kuna waka kamseka nini, inaitwa nini? Maybach, Oscar Sudi, walking around like, alafu contributing ama donating millions azila tujui kule zimetoka. So I think wacha tusikize hii part, place hii video ilikuwa inaenda kuishia.
William Ruto. The reaction, however powerful in rigging you can be, hii itakusurprise, itakulamba hii. Be very careful what you do with this kind of potent force you're watching from these young people, because you have awoken a kind of young people you cannot shoot to death. This is not the Kibera, this is not the Kawangware young people you just go around shoot and people forget about them every other day. You have woken the young people who are from the families of the middle class. They are going to be very well financed. When they get shot, they are going to be financed and they are going to get the appropriate health care. It is going to be a very superior reaction. You saw how restaurants were giving them money, you saw, giving them water and food, and supporting this mandamano. You saw how some religious institutions, including the mosque, the kudos to the mosque. The mosque are coming out and supporting them. The churches are going to be awoken. You have seen how the churches are starting to chase politicians away from their pulpits. You've seen how this force is turning.
So nacheki hii ndio msa anabongesha Ruto. Nichikiapo akiambia Ruto that no amount of rigging itabaki imemwokoa cause ame awaken, because that's what we keep forgetting. Like there's this whole constituency that's been awoken up, and this constituency, yani these people who've never voted before, who most probably in 2027 will only vote to vote out Ruto. And it's not along tribal lines, it's not along what, it's just to get rid of this guy. Why? Over taxation, over representation, over what? Over corruption, of yani kila kitu. Everything ni excess.
Round, and it's going to cause some chaos into your government. Be very careful how you carry yourself out, Mr. President. Otherwise, and I repeat, otherwise, utashanga, tafadhali. Because some of us are so passionate about this country, and we hope that you can do better. However, crooked you got into the power, tunaomba you to change things and to make an impact. But when you allow the anarchy, you allow the arrogance, you allow the looting in your government, and you allow, because we see them there, we see your government officials every day. So, Mr. President, I don't want to say much, but I will tell you much. The much I can tell you for now is that be very careful how you carry yourself out, and be very careful how your officials carry themselves out. The Oscar Sudis, the Farouk Kibet, the Felix Kosgeis, their PSS, how the ministers, how they carry out. And don't be the only smart person in your government.
Check your part. Don't be the only smart person in your government. So this guy is admitting that this was a government of fools. And not a government of fools, at least a government of illiterates, and a government of people wale hawezi ongea kila wanafaa yani hawezi correct the president in any way. So you may end up to have like the executive is a one-man show, and even as a one-man show you'll run out of ideas, and now the president has run out of ideas, and every time that he thinks he's quelled the fire, what happens? Something new comes up. Si wote tuko tusha kiasi tunangoja tu 25th of June tukumbuke protesters. What happened? On the 29th, ama on the 28th that is of April, tukakumbusha like kumkeni kulikuwa na hii kitu ili happen and now people are awakened. So wacha tumalizie na hii part ili nibamba juu ya umse alikuwa anaitisha job alafu saizi amepata job less than kitu yote alikuwa ameitisha.
Don't employ fools. Stop employing fools and expect to be the only person smart guy. What kind of insecurity do you have, Mr. President? Please, chukua good brains. People can think of revolutionary ideas to bring. This country has so much potential. You know, even me, ukinipatia ministry, kuna vitu nitafanya utashangaa ni kwamba huyu ni alai, the blogger ama mtu mwingine. Because we have knowledge. We can properly impact this country. Lakini ume-employ fools. Ume-employ fools.
Cheki, ume-employ fools. So, what happened between this guy, the guy who was posting these videos, and the guy who right now exists? And the only thing tunaweza fikiria ni as ODM party waliambiwa you have to just support everything that the government is doing. Nacheki. So naweza cheki the last post ya la ilienda kucheki nikitoka kwa hii story. Kulikuwa na KTN alikuwa ameweka screening of BBC Africa Blood Parliament cancelled due to pressure from authorities. Airing was to involve panel discussion, broadcaster's spokesperson says. Then Alaya akasema fake story. I thought you have been bold and calling everyone out. Why don't you now mention who called you to cancel it? Fake story. So first of all, the person did not call to cancel KTN. The person wali pressure BBC. And I think wali pressure BBC through maybe threatening stuff for BBC, because I don't think BBC as an institution would, of course, like fear igava ya Kenya. That would never happen. But now if you start threatening their staff, of course, they're going to back down. And I think that's what happened. So this is a situation we find ourselves in, where very reasonable people end up being sycophants to a certain level that whatever happened on June 25th, we can't actually say that that was the last time we saw that level of destruction and that level of pain happening to Kenyans. I actually think that this is going to continue, and it's going to continue till one day sisi kama wa Kenya tuamue kuwa we will live by a certain set of principles. And the principles is, yes, I can shake your hand. Yes, we can agree to disagree, but it won't reach a level whereby I start supporting things that even anyone who, like everyone knows that whatever happened on June 25th was a crime. Iko Nini.